Hi there, I'm Jared Fenwick, and this video is about how to make a chain, like a S-hook and a hook on a captured chain, and a bit about why you would want to make one. So what we want is to hang a grill or a frying pan and adjust it around on a fire. But in order to do this, we need a chain. So this is the S-hook part, and this is how we keep from losing it, since we don't want to do that. Most of you guys will probably be familiar with hanging a cast iron pan over the fire with this sort of thing. This is pretty standard stuff. I just didn't have one for my device here, so this is called the Fishy thing, or that Fishy thing. You hang your pot on that. That's the handle. So we put that on there, and then we're going to hang this to the cord, but we're going to put a round turn over the cord. One complete turn. And then we're going to hook that somewhere here. And then assessing the height of our fire, we're just going to put that up there, maybe down here, maybe all the way up there. However your fire is sorted out. And you'll just hook your cooking device down here. Pretty easy. Usually goes with one hand. So all these parts are captured so you don't lose them when you're out in the bush. Everything humanly possible should be done to prevent losing things. Like this gadget, it's got like 20 pieces. Ideally it would all be captured so you can't lose any one of them. Maybe I'll figure that out one day. That's how it went. Stir fry, chuck it in, make stew, and your obligatory pot of tea. So these are the hooks I made in my shop. I just wanted to demonstrate using them. And why do I have 3 pots and 3 hangers? One's a frying pan, one is a stew pot, and one is a pot of tea. Yeah, you could use a grill instead of a frying pan or something like that, but usually you got 3 chains. You know, if you got 3 people or more. So that's how the complete system works, and you want one. I know you do. So the rest of the video is just how I made them. Okay, what I'm doing here is making another one of these hooks so that can hang like that. So that's a piece of copper plumbing. It's just a bolt. And I've inverted that bolt and stuck it through the eye. And now I'm going to bend that back around this pipe. I'm just using the pipe as a sizing mold. And to keep that from coming up, I killed a stainless bolt there. Bolt's trapped in there. This back bend isn't necessary. I thought it looked fancy. It may help a little when you're sticking the chain on there, but won't be a huge difference. That's pretty close. I'm not trying to go for exact on this. So I can just cut that off. I'll just file that clean. Then I'll put the link in there, and then I'll just twist it closed. So there you have it. One chain hook. So I cleaned up half of this, but I can't get in there to that sharp side there. So find out if you can see that later. Anyway, I'm just going to get out the other side now. You don't want to bend that too many times, but you'll get away with a few. So now I'm just going to bend or file that and clean off the corners, the sharp corners. So I got the chain hook in the vise and my crescent wrench so I can crank this eye around without marring the finish. Okay, it's on. So that can't come off. I'll just try to tighten that a little. Oh, that's better. I bent it a little bit here. That should be stable enough for monkeying around as you're cooking. You don't want to be paying attention to your hook. Once it's on there, you want it to stay. Even if it gets bumped or jostled. You could tighten it up to slip it on like that. But if you need to adjust it, you know, on the fly while you're cooking. So, there you have it. Okay, so I've cut my chain at 40 inches long. And the reason I've done that is I've taken this jug as a standard billy can. You know, a pot like that with a bit of a bail. And I've accounted for 6 inches worth of firewood. Usually I go for 7 to 9. But who knows? So we're going to start with the ground level at 6 inches, 16 or so at the hook. The chain begins at about 32, and then a 40-inch chain is 72, which gives me 6 feet at this particular link above the ground. So something that is kind of important, whichever side this loop comes off, bend it the same way, because if you bend this over here, then when your hook goes in, this part here will interfere with your hook, whereas this you've got it's a nicer gap in there. So you got a cooking beam or some opportunity that, you know, an overhead limb or something. So put a round turn. So that your round turn will hang tight. And then adjust that. That's the idea with a horizontal beam, however that may look. You know what, a tripod. There's lots of, you know, you got to be adaptable when you're trying to find something to hang a cooking pot on. What I ended up doing was just opening these up some. The idea is almost invariably I tie my tripod with an 1/8 inch nylon, like a hard laid nylon. But if you don't have that and you got what you got and what you got is bigger, the idea is to be able to get a larger diameter rope in between that hook So I cut this. This rod is 10.5 inches, and my last rod was like 9.5, and I ended up using just over 8. And that was the scrap I had. But I did have a nice long handle on one side. So you kind of need extra because you're going to waste some. So I'm just making this loop that the chain's on. I'm doing that first. And I position this off center, so the side that's longer is the one that I'm going to bend around. So it'll end up being about half and half. So here I am again making a S-hook with a captured chain, or on a captured chain. So I measured this piece 5.5 inches, stuck it in my jig. I'm just going to lift this wire off the base of this jig so I can get a better grip on it. Seemed to work pretty good in the past. Wow, it's got to be the easiest one yet. I think. Oh, it's not quite tight. I'll just use this bolt as a mold. Now my jig. I made this jig for something else. I just keep reusing it because I'm only making a couple of these, not a whole bunch of them. So it's not really worth making a custom jig for this. Not for me. If I was doing a dozen, I would absolutely make up a jig. Maybe even 6, I don't know. It is pretty awkward doing it the way that I'm doing it. So loop vertical, line up mark on the line, and I'll crank that one around, see how it goes. Okay, line up marks, eye vertical, my mark slipped. Yeah, my mark slipped, so I'll make that up. So I'll put it on my mark. It's not easy since, give it a try once. I just got a piece of copper pipe and it's not strong enough to take the compression. Oh, we did it. Okay, I'm making sure this rod touches the eye. It springs back and I can't stop that. But so I beat that up a fair bit. So I'm just going to drive it onto a cone to straighten it up a little. So there we go. Now I'll just try to tidy up all the bends. Which is just a little time-consuming tweaking and I gotta cut that off first. So that didn't bend completely symmetrical like I wanted. I think I'm going to try to form it around this rod. tightened it up a bit. I like that better. Once again, I'm just going by eye here. By gum and by golly. That's what my skipper called it. No doubt you can sort this part out yourself. So now we're going to open up the eye in preparation for putting the chain in. So I closed this because bending these was going to be pretty hard if this was a bit wonky, so I closed it. If I'd have put the chain in there, then it would be quite difficult. Okay, experiment number 1. Couldn't find a cold chisel. Well, I did get some movement there. Oh my goodness. Can't complain with that. So there we are. So if we pretend that this is the tripod, hang that, adjust the chain, and there we go, a captured S-hook. So I tried putting one of these back bends in one of these, and it really didn't look good, and it was really hard. So now what I'm going to do is round off this, file off all these teeth marks, and that's just time consuming. And it would be boring to look at, so I won't bother you with that. So there's the set. 3 S-hooks with a captured chain. So 2 pot hooks that are 40 inches. And one that's longer just in case some unforeseen situation comes up. I'll just give you an idea. Okay, so there's 2 exactly, well the chain is 40 inches exactly. And the idea here was to, say you had to have a 6-foot tripod because your wood is really big and it requires that you make a big fire. Sometimes you can only make a big fire. So that's going to go in there. So what I did was discount the length of my fishy thing. So 40 inches plus the rod. And then I made one as if you didn't have the rod. Okay. So I'm Jared Fenwick. I never know what to say. I'll tell you what I'm doing, but don't ask me to keep up a constant patter of